Sure. Just last week, I thought was a great growing opportunity for our team. I thought, for the first couple weeks, particularly offensively, things went as planned or as scripted. It's always good that you can have a game where things do not go as planned or as scripted, and still win by 4 touchdowns. So what you have to do there is guys have to see some things that they haven't seen, deal with some adversity, deal with getting off script a little bit. This week we faced a team with basically the same kind of operation. This is the second team in a row that will play that had a bye week before us. So anytime you have a situation with a team that has a bye week, obviously they have an opportunity to put in some things that you haven't seen, do some different type of things, and that's kind of what happened early in that game, and we were able to adjust, I thought, offensively, particularly at halftime. So the good news is that our guys responded. We were able to talk a little bit about it at halftime, talk on the sideline, and execute. We were a little bit off early. Offensively, I think, defensively, we played a lot of guys. We've been able to play a lot of guys the last 3 weeks, and then here shortly in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to settle on, who that rotation is up front out of the 4 and who our linebackers are. We went through that game without Jordan Master Giovanni playing at all, without our starting center Mike Matthews playing at all, without Cam Clear playing at all. And, we've been without A.J. Hilliard and Sean Washington, without Sean Washington all year. So, that part of it, to be able to go through a game like that and win the way we did, I think is something that's positive. And the ability to get a bunch of those guys back over the course of the season, particularly in the next couple of weeks, I think will help inject a little bit more athleticism, get our guys back to going, and get us ready to play this week and into the conference. Try to make a run at the West Side title. Questions?
Out front here, Kate.
Kevin, you've played against June Jones' teams, I guess, the last 6 years now. What was your reaction to him stepping down after 2 games?
You guys know how I feel about June. We came into, it was my first year as a head coach, and I came into Conference USA the same time, and they won the West, and we won the West a couple times. I think they won it once, and I'm not mistaken, maybe, and David Bailiff won it the first year. So, it was just a competitive, and Todd Graham was at Tulsa at the time. So it was just a really competitive league. And I've known June for a while, and, I don't know everything around the situation, but I know that's a difficult decision for any coach. Just reading what Rick Hart said, and who I've known for a while too. He was at Oklahoma as an assistant AD. So making that decision and saying that basically it was a decision that June made. I don't know what happened around it, but it's difficult, and I know that just knowing him as a competitor he is, there had to be some other issues. But the thing that makes it difficult is, that early in the season on the team and coaching staff. So from our standpoint, you're going to face a different situation. A team that has had that happen, but has had a bye week. And Tom Mason is coached a long time. He's going to, those guys will rally around. They understand that they've still got a lot of season to play. It's a prideful program with some prideful coaches. So, you really don't know what you're walking into here this weekend, to be honest with you. And but based on everything that's the groundwork that's been laid there, it could be a pretty hostile environment from a player coach's standpoint because guys got a lot to play for, and they've had a couple weeks to prepare.
Could I ask one more?
You bet. Follow up.
Totally different offshoot, but Armani Watts, when he was the one returning the blocked field goal, it was kind of like, it's this guy again. We've talked about him every week. What is it about him that he's, as a true freshman, inserting himself in these, he's always around the ball, he's making these plays?
Well, it's something we talk about. There's a reason why you say guys have a nose for the ball. All right, well, this guy's always around here. Guess what? He's playing really hard. And if you heard what I said Saturday night, I said, he's making mistakes that maybe you guys don't notice, that we notice as coaches, but we're correcting them. And I think I hinted when I said the one thing you are not going to accuse Armani Watts of is not playing hard. He loves the game. He enjoys it. Can't wait. The venue and everything else. I asked him before we got to Columbia. I said, "Hey, you scared? Are you going to be able to handle all this?" He's like, "Shoot, I've been waiting for this." And some guys, that's all talk, but this guy he's a little bit different with that. So trust me, he's one of those guys that after all that was over with, he keeps telling me he's as good a punt returner as Speedy or any of these guys. So, he's trying to improve his point about everything. I said, just worry about playing safety and remember to not pick that ball up back there again. So, I've had a bunch of people, including some guy at the gas station, thinks I'm wrong about this field goal situation. So I shouldn't have gone into my explanation the other night. It's
just tell them Leon Lett. All
yeah,
right, Gabe.
that's all I had to say. See, you said that. I did not say that.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Don't
All
put
right, Gabe.
those words in my mouth. We are going to the Metroplex this week.
Yes, sir. That was AC. All right, Gabe.
Coach, you played, this will be twice at SMU on the road in 24 months, essentially. Can you talk about the benefits of going up there and playing, as you said, in the Metroplex?
Yeah, this is a contract that was done a long time ago. And, people ask about our schedule. I've heard other coaches talk about our schedule. We had two things happen. Number one, we changed conferences, and it became very hard to schedule games in the next 1 or 2 years when you drop down to an 8-game conference schedule. Number two, that I think people really overlook, is that one of our non-conference games previously used to be Arkansas. And so that game is now a conference game. So, the schedule changed dramatically not only when we changed leagues, but we also changed leagues to the same league that Arkansas was in. So, we're going to Dallas back-to-back weeks. And, I think it's a good thing for us in recruiting. I think last time we were up there, we had a huge contingency of fans. And when we practiced for the Cotton Bowl, we practiced at SMU, that first practice for an open practice. And just, there had to be a couple thousand people out there. So I look for that to happen again. Have a lot of Aggies there that follow us. And so playing in the Metroplex is a good thing for us. I think the other thing that's interesting is that we caught a break from game time scheduling, and not just this week but next week. And as coaching staff, we talked about this week, and I'll talk today to our team just about the preparation should duplicate. This week should duplicate next week. 2 game times at 2:30. 2 travel times on Friday, same bus trip, and what we're looking for is the same type of preparation approach Monday through Saturday, and the same type of performance and effort out of these next 2 weeks, because very rarely do you, at this point in college football, if you're winning, get to duplicate basically the same type of situation from a travel standpoint and a game time standpoint. So, yeah, I think we caught a break there.
Right here, Sam. Right here.
Kevin, what is the status of Speedy Noel?
Speedy probably will not play this weekend. So
Can you say what happened to him?
I just won't play this weekend. I'll update you next week.
And Zakoven Henderson?
I'll say this, that some of the questions that I've gotten and reports about what's happened to him are completely false.
And Zakoven Henderson?
Probable
Okay.
for Saturday.
And,
I would say Speedy. I would say Zakovian will play Saturday. Jake Matthews would be probable.
You mean Mike?
I mean, yeah. I wish Jake was probable. So do the Falcons. Mike's probable. Jordan, same.
Cam Clear?
Same.
And one last one.
We'll see. How about that?
I like probable better than we'll see. Have you seen Ricky Seals-Jones' role evolve as he's finally been able to get in the groove here?
I thought he changed. We had to change a little bit. Cam, the impact that we thought Cam Clear was going to have in that South Carolina game, obviously you saw the game plan early. 7 minutes to go in the first quarter, Cam Clear's out. And you don't know at that point if Cam's coming back or not. But we had to, I thought Jake and our offensive staff did a great job of adjusting the game plan and utilizing Ricky as a move guy, because we really hadn't worked with Caden Smith a bunch. Didn't plan on him being that kind of guy at South Carolina on the road. So, Ricky came in, did a little bit of that, and then flexed out, threw him the ball. I think that's where he grew back up. He's always been has had talent. I think he's had to refine himself as a route runner. He's gotten better. Is he there yet? I don't think so. But he is a lot better than he was a year ago. And I think his diversity and being able to move around a little bit as an H-back type guy, flex out, be in the slot, and then even be an outside perimeter guy, helps him. And it creates problems for defenses, and that's kind of helped him. I think he understands what his limitations are. I think when you come out of high school, he was so much bigger than everybody. In high school, I think he got away with a lot less technique. Does that make sense? And so as he started to play last year, and even coming off that knee injury through the summer and doing some things, I think he understood, hey, listen, I got to start working at my craft here. I'm not going to be big. Being big and fast isn't enough. And it's a pretty good place to start, but it's not enough all the time. So I think he's gotten tougher, been able to block people. He's understanding the game more, and he's become and still a work in progress with his route discipline, knowing where to go, understanding coverages, things like that. Just kind of like Mike Evans was early, just raw. But once you start understanding, hey, listen, if I can develop my technique, if I can understand coverages, if I can understand what they're trying to do to me before the fact instead of when things are going on, then you become a more effective player. And I think he's really studying the game and wants to be really, really good. And to do that, he has to be able to understand that other part of the game, and he's trying to make strides to get there.
Go to the back and then middle left.
Coach, one of the things on Saturday you talked about, 38 points in 16 minutes of ball possession. As the schedule gets tougher, are you going to be considering slowing down the offense to control that game clock a little bit more, or are you going to keep with that, strike fast attitude that you've had throughout the A&M career?
If I slowed the offense down, we'd have only had the ball 10 minutes. So why would I do that?
I'm just curious if you're putting more emphasis on the defense creating turnovers as you move forward, or if you're going to consider.
That's a different question. The first question was, am I considering slowing down the offense? That's no. The second question is, we talk about turnover ratio all the time. And, we didn't get any turnovers the other night, and we gave away one. That's the first time this year that we're -1 for the year. So, our turnover ratio is something that we talk about every week as a team. We talk about third down conversions offensively and defensively, of which that was the poorest game that we've played. So it falls on, it's not a one-sided effort. Everything works hand in hand, but, certainly with what we do, if we didn't do what we did, we wouldn't have been able to score 38 points in 16 minutes. So I don't think we're going to go away from that.
We'll go Cease and then Brent and Jimmy.
Games ahead, other than the win, what are some things you're looking for? Maybe that turnover margin you talked about might be one thing that you're looking for your team this week with 4 conference games ahead.
Yeah, I think, see, what we're doing is we're looking week to week. And what I'm looking for is, all right, the guys who are playing well to be consistently playing well. Instead of spiking up and down and things like that. And our good players are going to have to, the guys that we expect to play at that level, at a all-conference level, at an all-American level, are you doing that every week, regardless of opponent? The young players in this program, you take a guy, as you just talked about, like Armani Watts, who's got 200-some snaps already in 3 games, that's over with. Hey, listen, you're playing. So the stuff that happened early, let's not, what I'm looking for is you're not making that same mistake this week that you made last week. That's improvement. Individually, if that's what you're talking about. As a team, our turnover margin is a big thing that we've talked about from day one. And that's a team stat. That is not just a defensive takeaway stat or an offensive, that covers special teams also. So whenever you're touching the ball, you need to hang on to it. And quarterbacks need to make good decisions, and defensively we've got to create turnovers to create a positive turnover ratio. So, and third downs, as I talked about. So, those are things that we are constantly monitoring, and I think, you can, there are numbers that can be put to that. I think our guys understand, and then your level of play, and we have a grading system for players individually that that bears out however you handle that night. Those are things individually and probably team collectively that we look at regardless of opponent. And things that players control, and penalties, and so, the first game we played this year is our most penalized game so far. We went and we've gotten lower, but we're still too high, and I think it's well documented how I felt about that at halftime. So I have to apologize again to my mother for what I said at halftime on national TV. Sorry, Mom. Try not to let that happen again.
We'll go Brent, Jimmy, and then KO.
Is dumbass one word or 2?
See, now I just tried to apologize.
Sorry. What I wanted to ask you about was how nice has it been to have Ivan Robinson in the lineup, and could you speak to his resiliency in doing so?
I'll tell you what happened. Ivan was not supposed to play. And I don't think anybody was counting on him playing. He was all taped up, ready to go, and he's been trying to play in the games for the last 2 weeks. And so he's had a hamstring. What happens is with that Achilles, we gave him some time off. And, he was contemplating even playing anymore. And so through the summer, he didn't do a bunch. So when he started coming back to play, he had actually, I told him, I looked at him when he came back out for camp. I said, are you going to play football, or are you trying to be some kind of model? He'd lost all kinds of weight. He's wearing these tank tops. And I said, you're a D lineman. You're not a pretty boy kind of guy. So he's like, oh, Coach, yeah, I am. He was like 265, 270. And over the course of camp and how he approached things, he got to 290, 295, and he kind of worked his way in there. And then right before the season started, he starts doing a lot, and because he hadn't worked out a bunch, got a hamstring, and really slight tear in his hamstring. So he's kept that away for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then we got somebody got dinged up in there Saturday, and goes run out. I'm ready to go. He goes run out on the field and starts throwing people around and making plays. I'm happy for him. I'm glad we've got him. He's one guy that can communicate. I could be specific, but he was standing on the sideline. He came off and he looked right at some of those young guys and said, "Hey, when this happens, when you see this happen, this is what's going to happen to you." And I kind of looked at him like, wow, that's what we've been missing up there. We got some talented guys, but those guys are out there just playing. Ivan's been around here long enough to know what's going on, and that I think that's really a settling factor for some of these younger D linemen that we have, and we're fortunate that he's come back and played this year.
Down front, Jimmy.
Yeah, Coach, you talked about Armani Watts and his nose for the ball. How much does that same trait apply to Myles Garrett, and what has he surprised you over 3 games, and if so, where?
If you weren't at practice, you'd probably be surprised. If you watched him practice for the 20, whatever it was, practices we had when, we've got 2 pretty good tackles, and Jermaine Ifedi and Cedric, and our line's pretty good, and for a guy to walk in here and have the success he had during 2-a-days during fall camp, did he win all the time? No, but against those guys, a lot of guys don't win any, and he's had his moments with every guy on that offensive line, and that's when you start getting respect from your teammates and people start whispering. So, no, I think our challenge is to make sure that we are getting him in the position to help him be successful, because he's going to start seeing some different. You saw it the other night. You're going to start seeing some different blocking schemes. You're going to start seeing some help. We got to be able to move him around, and then we also, I saw an interesting stat about Jadeveon Clowney as a freshman, only playing, between 15 and 20 snaps a game, early, just because those guys get tired and you're asking them to pass rush and get in there and do a bunch of stuff, and we've got to manage how much he's out there. I think we've got that with Deshaun Hall and the number of defensive ends that we recruited last year, Quaylen Cunningham, Jarrett Johnson, and Julian Obioha. We've got a rotation that can allow him to not play 60 or 70 or 80 snaps a game, so that he can be fresh and can do what he does at a high level, and get these other guys, keep everybody else at a high level. So there's a combination of those things, but I think he's certainly, it's like we said the other night, he's already tied the freshman sack record, right?
Here at A&M.
Here at A&M, and he's got as many sacks as we had last year as a team. So, yeah, I guess he's doing all right, huh? This is game. We only played 3 games, so we'll see what happens. But I think he's going to get better. He's starting to figure out what's going on, and but with that, just like everybody else who's a young player, people start figuring you out too. So he's going to start seeing different things, and how he reacts to that will be interesting. But we also got to help him out a little bit too with the rotation, and be probably a little bit more creative than just putting him on the open side and putting his hand down and saying go sick him. Although there's something to that too.
KO, and then Samuel wrap us up.
Coach, you've talked about the team and the focus on the team to just focus on itself. But obviously you have to look ahead to the opponent. And with SMU coming in with who knows what, how do you get ready for that?
By doing just what you said. Yeah. If we worried about, like I said, they've had a bye week. There's a lot of things happening there. And, the same way that we do things every week, we worry about us, and like I said, it's not an arrogant style, and I think some people may take it that way, no matter who you play. But truly, if you look within and try to fix the problems that you had a week ago or the things that are going on right now, and focus on the things that you have to do every week to be successful, regardless of opponent, then you've got a chance to win. And I think our guys, over the course of time, understand that. And I think they're starting to understand that now, and that's why, whenever you play, that's the test for the week, and you have that every week. And this week's test is SMU, but the preparation for that test is what's important, because that's what allows you to be successful. And so we don't really change what we do, when we go on the road. Or somebody asked me about walkthroughs. We don't go to the stadium. We won't go to the stadium this week. We won't go next week. Whenever we go on the road, we didn't go to Williams-Brice Friday night. First time we get there is when we play, and it's kind of the old. I don't have to go out there every week like I did the first year when we did that, because we had players who were used to doing that. And I said, do I need to? You guys ever see the movie Hoosiers? Do I need to go out and with a tape measure and do that every week? I'll do that, but you guys get what I'm saying.
All right, Sam, wrap us up.
Now that he's got a few games under his belt of the position, how do you feel like Cedric's doing at left tackle?
He's doing okay. I think he can probably play a little bit better, which is a good thing. So, I'm not being critical of Cedric. I'm always critical of him because he's very, very talented. He's probably tired of me being on him. But, he missed some practice during fall camp, had a foot problem, and that kind of set him back a little bit, not from a conditioning standpoint, but from, it's a different set, different post foot from right to left. And but he's played, in every game. He's been fine. And it's like I said, the biggest compliment you can give an offensive lineman is when you don't notice him. So if there's a bunch of people noticing what he's doing, then he wouldn't be playing very well. But he's getting better. He's seeing different things, and I think. Both our tackles, he and Jermaine Ifedi, have made the transition fairly well, and I can see them continuing to improve, because we've got, although all those guys up there have played a lot of football, they're all at new positions except for Mike Matthews. And last Saturday night we had 5 guys in there that started that were new at positions, which is communication was good. I thought. You go into a game like that and you don't have a bunch of false starts, a bunch of, things like that, those type of penalties. The Lions operated really, really well from a communication standpoint, a targeting standpoint, and I don't think that's going to fall off. And I'll say this, Ben Compton did a great job. The first thing that happens when you put a new center in there. You got to start getting different things happening and miscommunications and false starts. That didn't happen the other night. So, Ben, I've said this before, Ben would start at a lot of places. He's just behind a really, really good center and 2 really big old guys at guard, 3. So, but he understands his role. He's unselfish, and for a guy to go in there and play that many snaps the way he played, knowing that probably when Mike gets healthy, he's going to come back. That's a big deal. That tells you about where our team is and how unselfish they are right now.
All right, Coach, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.